Welcome. Today we are using the 90-90 hip rotation test to self-assess our hip mobility, and then we will follow up with 3 key exercises to improve your range of motion. By unlocking your hips, you'll enhance your performance, reduce injury risk, and move better in your workouts and daily life. You only need a yoga mat today, but you might need a yoga block or a pillow for some of the exercises. Now, let's get started. We begin with the 90-90 hip rotation test to assess external and internal hip rotation, identifying mobility restrictions and pain points that negatively impact your range of motion. Sit on the floor with one leg bent in front of you at 90 degrees, external rotation, and the other leg bent behind you at 90 degrees, internal rotation. Rotate your torso toward the front leg and lean forward slightly to assess range of motion in external rotation. Take note of any tightness or pain. Switch sides and repeat the assessment on the other hip. As you do this assessment, take note where you feel tightness and pain. Also note if one side is tighter than the other. If this position is difficult to maintain, you can sit on a cushion or a yoga block. Pause here and note all the restrictions. Write them down on a piece of paper so you don't forget, and you know which areas you are feeling pain and tightness for future assessments. Now that the test is done, let's do some warm-up exercises and see if it increases your range of motion, reducing pain and tightness. The first warm-up exercise is dynamic 90-90 switches. From the 90-90 position, rotate dynamically between sides by switching the front and back legs. Continue this for 30 to 60 seconds. Be careful not to push past your range of motion so much that you feel pain. You want to do this safely and progressively. The next warm-up exercise is hip circles. Get on all fours, lift one knee, and make large control circles to mobilize the hip joint. Do this for about 15 seconds per leg. Repeat on the other side. For the final warm-up exercise, we will do the hip-hinge rock backs. In a half-kneeling position, push your hips back toward your heels and then rock forward slightly to gently mobilize the hips. Make sure you keep this pain-free. Do not try to push too far past your natural range of motion. We are doing a warm-up. Repeat this for 15 seconds on each leg. Switch sides and repeat the same motion back and forth on the other leg. Remember to keep it pain-free. Now let's retest. Return to the 90-90 position. Notice if your range of motion has improved or if the movement feels easier on each side. Pause and take notes. If you feel great and this has solved your problems, these 3 exercises can serve you before you do your workouts or in everyday life. If you still feel tightness or restrictions, move on to the corrective exercises. 90-90 dynamic rotations, half kneeling hip stretch and glute flex, and standing hip cars. Now moving on to the first corrective exercise, dynamic rolls in the 90-90 position. Return to the 90-90 position. Rotate your torso towards the front leg and gently roll over it. As you hinge forward, exhale. When you come back up, inhale. Perform slow, controlled movements for 30 to 60 seconds on each side. This combines the assessment and the correctives in one movement, making it ideal if you're short on time. Use this movement pre-workout. At the end of a workout, you can hold the position, known as deer pose. You can repeat this for 2 to 3 sets. Now let's move on to exercise 2, half kneeling hip flexor stretch with glute activation. We will do this for about 1 minute on each side. Start in a half kneeling position with one knee on the mat. Tuck your pelvis slightly with a posterior tilt and engage your glutes. Shift your weight forward until you feel a stretch in the hip flexor of the back leg. Reach the arm above your head on the same side as your back leg. Place a cushion under the back knee for comfort. Remember to engage your glutes. This is a great exercise for improving both flexibility and stability of the hips. Repeat this exercise on the other leg. Remember to set your pelvis positioning and squeeze your glutes. Reach your arm over your head. Use this exercise pre-workout and keep it dynamic with movement. For a post-workout stretch, hold the position for 15 to 30 seconds. You can repeat this exercise for 2 to 3 sets. The final exercise is standing hip cars, controlled articular rotations. Stand tall with one hand on a wall or chair for balance. Lift one knee toward your chest, rotate it outward, move it behind you, and return to the starting position. Perform slow, controlled movements to explore your full range of motion. You will do this exercise in both directions, externally and internally. Do the cars for 30 to 60 seconds on each hip. Controlled rotations help strengthen the joint and improve mobility in all directions. Cars are excellent to do before you go for a walk, run, ride, or just when you get up in the morning and you want to open up the hips. Do this for 2 to 3 sets. And that's it! Great job today! If you found this routine helpful, please leave a comment and hit subscribe. Struggling with ankle mobility? Grab my link for the test and exercises in the description below the video. Thanks for joining me, and see you next time. Bye for now!